Jacob is back at it here to give everyone my very first Dexter New Blood episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatch and you're watching Dexter, the original 96 episodes of Dexter, or this episode of Dexter New Blood, which I was able to watch early on the Showtime channel on Amazon, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention it as well as put in the description for you. If that happens to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further just to avoid spoilers. So this has been called a limited series. We don't know how long it's going to last. Limited means it could be one season, it could be multiple seasons. So I don't know. Now, I have a theory that it could be some sort of anthology series where this season is Dexter New Blood. Next season could be something slightly different. I don't want to get into my theory because that could be spoilers because I may be right. And of course, in this particular show at the moment, he's not called Dexter by most of the characters. His name in the show right now is James Lindsay or Jim. I'm not going to be referring to him as Jim simply because I've already called him Dexter for 96 episodes. There's no way I'm going to start calling him Jim. And it would be great to get some participation. If you're a fan of this review, smash that like button. Don't forget to sound off in the comments section about your thoughts. What would you score this episode of Dexter New Blood? And what would be your favorite moment of this episode of Dexter New Blood? And maybe your standout character besides Dexter in the episode. So this would be Dexter New Blood, episode 1. Title of this episode is called Cold Snap. This will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. So it starts off with Dexter running through the woods. He's hunting a deer. And then when he has the deer in his scope, he can't pull the trigger because the deer is innocent. And Dexter, of course, lives by a code most of the time. So Dexter leaves the deer alone, and then he goes back to his place where he sees Deb. Yes, Deb is back. I predicted this a long time ago when I first found out that there would be a new season of Dexter back in October of 2020. I believe that's when it was. Yes, I predicted that Deb would replace Harry, and she kind of has, although Harry seemed to be more like his angel, where it seems like Deb at the moment is kind of his annoyance and kind of haunting him to a degree. I get that vibe. I might be wrong on that, but it kind of seems like that to me. So they chit-chat for a little bit. It's kind of really quick phrases by Deb and Dexter kind of acknowledging them and kind of tuning her out, it seems like. And then we find out that, Dexter goes on a drive, and it was really cool when he goes on this drive. He drives through the road in the snow, and they actually have the episode title, Cold Snap, as he drives by, and it brushes away. So I noticed that. He gets pulled over by the town sheriff, Angela, and then we find out that they were just role-playing. It's like a turn-on for, I don't know if it's for both of them, Angela or Dexter, I don't know, but they start getting it on in a cop car after she pulls him over and has him get out of the vehicle. So Angela, and I got this from, I noticed this, but I do want to give credit to Cody Leach because he also mentioned this, that Angela has a very strong resemblance to Deborah, or Deb. Now, I don't know if that was done intentionally, because there was talk of a relationship between Deb and Dexter in the original show, but she has a very strong resemblance to Deb. Same hair, same kind of lanky and long body type. So just wanted to point that out, that I noticed that. But she is the chief of police in this town in Iron Lake, New York, a very small town where everybody essentially knows everybody. Like Dexter walks through the town hall, I guess you could call it, and as he's walking, hey Jim, or Dexter, and yeah, it's he wouldn't get away with anything in this town, I don't think. So let's see what we got here. In this, we see Dexter see blood, and it seems to have an effect on him at the moment. And I guess I forgot to mention, there's a part after we see Deb for the first time that Dexter is sharpening some of his old kill tools which he's not using to kill, but he's just giving them use for other things. Like there's a part where he borrows one of his tools, like his axe sort of weapon or tool, to help slaughter a pig. And there's also some callbacks to the original Dexter in terms of Dexter still tries to blend in. He brings donuts to work. Just a slight callback with that. So he works at this gun shop. Well, it's like a fisherman gun, outdoorsy, I don't know, place. And he has an encounter with this character, Matt. And Matt Caldwell. And he's very, what's the word I want to use? Careless, aggressive. You instantly hate him right away, and that's a good job by the actor. He's just all over the place. And Dexter obviously doesn't like him from his initial scene of him. But Matt wants a gun. I'm sorry, Matt wants a knife, and then he wants a gun. And he's probably a younger adult, probably early 20s, maybe 18, 19. And he wants a gun or a rifle, but when he wants the most expensive one they have, Dexter's like, that's going to bring you down about $9,000. And he's like, that's okay. I had a great day. I think he's some sort of stockbroker or something like that. So he wants to purchase this weapon, but of course you have to wait a certain amount of time before you're approved for that kind of stuff. And he's like, come on, man, just let me buy it now. I've been in the store for a long time. I've known the owner or whatnot, but rules are rules, according to Dexter. So he makes fun of Dexter for being a person that follows the rules. But so eventually Dexter goes out dancing with Angela, and every time this Matt Caldwell character is there as well, and people keep bringing him up, and Dexter keeps changing the subject, like he doesn't want to hear about it. So that was a little interesting. And then Matt ends up getting approved for this rifle, and the guy at the place wants Dexter to go deliver it to him. And Dexter doesn't want to do that, but he ends up doing it eventually anyway. And while he's doing this, his friend that was initially at the store with him, because Matt's busy getting it on with some chick, pulls Dexter into another room where he's kind of a trip. He's like doing cocaine. And he confesses the fact that Matt was involved where a bunch of people died and he was personally responsible for that. So how convenient that somebody randomly gives that information to Dexter Morgan. Oh, well, it works. I mean, he doesn't even have to look through police files or anything. People just tell him shit in this one, apparently. Nonetheless, Dexter gives Matt the gun. And then Matt's, of course, careless with it again. And then he points it at Dexter. And then Dexter has a vision of him hitting Matt in the head with the gun. But he eventually snaps out of it. And then when Dexter's back at home, he sees someone in his place. And it turns out to be Harrison, which was spoiled in the trailer. I wasn't sure initially if Harrison was going to be in this show or not, because that opens up a lot of questions of what happened to Hannah. And Deb does mention Hannah at one point. They don't go into any details, but I am going to be livid if they kill Hannah off screen. Now, they might say she's dead. Harrison might say she got in some kind of accident, which they didn't talk about in this episode yet. But if they kill her off, that would piss me off. Now, they could say that, and then she ends up being alive, because we know Hannah's been in situations like that before and came back. But I really, out of all the characters from Dexter, Hannah's the one that I wanted in this series the most, besides Dexter, of course. I really loved Hannah's character. I can't say that enough. But when this character, when he's like, hey, I'm your son, I'm Harrison, and he's like, are you Dexter Morgan? And Dexter doesn't want to say yes, because Deb, we get some callbacks to former characters. She's like, you know what happens when people close to you show up? They end up, look what happened to Dokes. Look what happened to LaGuerta. Look what happens to Rita. Look what happened to me. And then Deb pulls a bullet out of her side, kind of what happened to Deb in season 8 when she got shot by the brain surgeon, Oliver Saxton. or Saxon. I can't remember what it is, Saxon or Saxton. So Dexter tells Harrison that he's not Dexter Morgan and that you can go to this place and you might be able to find this person that you're looking for. Sorry, I wrote my notes way too quick and I can't remember where my place was. And my writing's real small and it's hard for me to make out what I put. So sorry for the delays. So there's another scene with Dexter chasing a deer through the woods. And Dexter gets the deer in his scope. And he can't pull the trigger again. But this time he goes up to the deer and kind of pets it. And then from out of nowhere, the deer is shot and killed. And we find out it's shot and killed by this Matt Caldwell character. So Dexter ends up hitting Matt with his rifle, and then we hear the dark passenger speak. The monologue that Dexter has in his head. It says, "It's been a long time." So Dexter sets up a kill room in this, I think it's like some sort of shed place that he has on his land. And of course, Matt's on the table. He does end up cutting his cheek and breaks a glass thing to have a blood slide and put some blood in there. And Dexter, when Matt wakes up, says he's very upset that Matt shot and killed his deer. And then we do get a Harry mention, so we've got some callbacks to former characters on Dexter, which is always great. I love that. I love all those former characters. I want them all to be on the show, especially Hannah. Harry, not so much so. We got enough of Harry. And then Matt gets really, really mad at Dexter and says that his dad will destroy Dexter. And, he realizes that Dexter's a serial killer. And Dexter's like, well, I was, but I guess I really am still. And then Dexter says, like you said, life is short, dude. And then stabs Matt in the chest, killing Matt, who did a good job as a character in this. And then the monologue, the dark passenger voice says the epic line of, "Tonight's the night." And then we hear the eerie Dexter theme of, and then Dexter looks at a mirror, and then the dark passenger voice says, "Hello, Dexter Morgan." And at that point in time, Angela calls him. And another call back to the original Dexter, he answers the phone the same way as when Rita would call him, "Hey, you." And Dexter has to cancel plans with Angela. And then he says, he doesn't, after he gets done talking to Angela, of course, he doesn't need trophies anymore. Because while he may be a monster, he's an evolving monster. The line we got from the trailer. And then Dexter cuts up Matt's body and finds out a place to put him where there's ice fishing. I'm guessing garbage bags. And then Dexter goes to visit Harrison because he knew where Harrison was going to go to look for this Dexter Morgan character. And then he sits next to him, tells him that he is Dexter Morgan. And they have a little chit chat. Nothing of super big relevance there. Something's fishy about Harrison. I'll just say that. I get a weird vibe from him. Like maybe he's really not Harrison. I don't know. And then the episode ends with Dexter. Dexter takes Harrison and brings him back to his house. And then the dark passenger monologue says he's going to essentially protect his son instead of let his son make mistakes and all that. And that's how it ends. So while some parts of this episode were boring, the last 15 minutes were pretty awesome. Obviously, they had to establish some things in this episode, and they could have dragged the shit out for 3 or 4 episodes. They had a boring start to the episode to deliver in the end. So I did like it. I've watched it 2 times now, and I did really like it. I'm going to give the episode a score of 8.8 out of 10. And we all know Dexter's the character of the episode. I don't think there would be an episode where he's not the character. But the other standout characters in this episode were Matt Caldwell and probably Angela Bishop, who, like I'd mentioned, kind of has a very strong resemblance to Deb. I did enjoy this. It was epic, especially when he was setting the kill room up and he had the plastic. That's Dexter for you. So I really enjoyed most of the ending, at least, but strong enough where I'm going to give it a solid 8. I'm almost at a 9 for it. So you've heard me ramble, you've heard me babble. Now I want to hear what you think. So like I'd mentioned before, if you enjoy this review, smash that like button. You can share the video with all your social media platforms if you prefer to do so. I'm okay with that. I would appreciate it, actually. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what you think the score of the episode would be and who would be your standout character besides Dexter, and maybe your favorite moment of the episode. And of course, last but certainly not least, I want to grow the channel. So if you're a Dexter fan, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.